Before we officially get started with today's video, we have some unfinished business to take care of within Altador as a whole. Each district has all of their treasures now marked on the map, so we're going to be collecting all of them. But that's a little bit boring because all of the treasures pretty much have the stock random item inside of them, so we're going to be taking a closer look at two things in Altador that we have yet to look at. One particularly small, but the other one very big when it comes to the development of Act 4 as a whole. So I did mention in the Money District that there was something else that we were going to be taking a look at, and we'll have to go through some older footage in order to take a look. Now, there was that envelope icon that was on the map here, and that brings us to the postmaster here, who has jobs for us to do, similar to the Traders Guild in Act 3. Whenever I deliver a package, I'll get a reward. So, let's try and talk to him again. He'll send us over to Kalima in the Arena District. We have to deliver a package to her, and which is very simple to do. You'll notice that there isn't any quest log for this delivery, but there is a key item. And I have a feeling that because we're so late into the game and these kind of rewards really don't mean a whole lot, this postmaster kind of quest was really just scrapped, because after this one quest, he never shows up again. In fact, in multiple playthroughs that I've done, I get him maybe about 33% of the time. He just won't show up for me. And I have a feeling it's just because they couldn't justify actually finishing up the quest in order to go through all of the districts. Now the second thing we have to look at is also in the Money District. This Termac here is a little twitchy. I did mention that all of the pets were in Altador in some way, shape, or form. I have to not feed my dog a fox in order to show this off. So bye, dog a fox, you've been helpful. The problem with the Termac is, I don't think he was properly placed in Act 4, because none of the guides really mention him as a usable Termac. There's only the two that were in Act 3, and this is the third, but it doesn't really matter what you give him in order to feed him. And you can't give him potions either, just food. But you could pretty much just continuously feed this Termac over and over and over again. He just doesn't seem to have any programming on him in order to actually follow you. He is a bottomless pit that will not be sated at all. And those are the two things that are in Altador that we can look at. Yeah, that postmaster quest, definitely something else. Hello everyone, and welcome to the finale of Neopets, The Darkest Faerie. Altador is in a bit of a state of flux because we've liberated all of the districts except the Clouds are not really sure what they want to do versus the Hall of Heroes and going out into any of the districts. But yes, we're all done. We can head back into the Hall of Heroes now that we have all four of the legends reawakened. Except for, the Gladiator and the Rogue Legends. Apparently we still need to do those. I did mention at the beginning of Act 4 that the quest log is a little bit unreliable. It's not really all that useful either, because Act 4 is pretty linear and a straight shot in order to get to the end. But you could also go back to the Hall of Heroes every single time, and you'll find each of the individual heroes as you liberate them just kind of hanging out here. There's no point in coming back here until you've rescued all four, because that's when Altador shows up again. But we'll be able to talk to all of the legends in order to get their opinion on Jordana. Because that has been the quest that's been looming over our heads that we really haven't gotten much information about. The only information we really have about Jordana at this point is that she was a simple girl who had magical abilities, and those just exponentially increased to the point where she is the reason why Altador is in this displaced time dimension, pretty much. Not only basic magic, but the power to go over time itself. Power of dreams over the power of time. Well, let's see what the king has to say.
You have aided us to rid the land of the Darkest One's taint.
There is, however, one last task to complete.
Since you began your journey, we've done our best to help you. As beggar,
A helpful wandering merchant.
A noble man-at-arms, cleaning woman.
and knightly mentor.
But for Altador to live again, you must go to a place where we cannot help. Jordana, the sorceress, who has kept us safe all these years, is trapped in the heart of the city by the last echo of the Darkest One's power. You must go there into Hero's Rest to free Jordana so that Altador can rise again. Will you do this?
Yes.
Then be off.
And before we head down, we get our final weapon upgrade for Tor. We get King Altador's sword. It's more of a design kind of upgrade than it is anything else. Because at this point in the game, Tor is not all that useful, and really there's not a lot of fighting after this point. Just the tiniest little bit. I want to get one good look at his face before we go. Just one final... Whoa, okay. Ooh, he's not pleased from this angle. Okay. Teeth, jeez. The other thing I really have not mentioned at all, that they pretty much just spelled out for you in that last scene, is that, yeah, the heroes have been helping us since the beginning of the game. You probably figured that out if you're really keen or have played the game before. But yeah, they've been around in Neopets. Don't think about it too much, other than Jordana did it. But there is one particular character out of the heroes that definitely is a topic for discussion of how long they've actually been in the real world. But before we do that, we have our final dungeon to tackle. Hero's Rest. Welcome. See, actually, all the stairs that we just went down. Again, we're going down into the pits of the earth in order to free Jordana, because I guess she had to be all the way down, and this isn't even the deepest we need to go. But the thing with Jordana, being the master sorceress that she is, we have to deal with a whole bunch of elemental tasks. In the kind of the basic sense of what that actually means, pretty much means that there's one challenge per elemental affinity. All you need to do is step into the light of one of them and you'll be taken to a different room in order to get across. Now, I have made this as bright as I possibly can without actually just like making the video a complete mess. But the entire goal here is that you have to step on the non-glowing plates. In this case, when dealing with darkness, it's actually hard to discern which one actually is purple and which one is actually a normal tile. The main challenge is actually your ability to jump properly, because sometimes you don't think you can actually make the distance. And the other problem is that minions love just appearing, and they will just kind of push you into the tiles if you let them, and also taking into consideration what your fighting animations actually do as well. A lot of the times I failed this room multiple times because I get into my combo with Roberta or Tor and just force myself into one of the colored tiles. A lot of these trials aren't actually all that bad. Some are worse than others, but a lot of them are pretty doable. You can just get them done in like a minute or so. Once you have those done, you get these... I'm not even sure what I could even call them. Channelers? I'm not sure. But you push them into the energy source, and then you're able to open up that section of the door. The fire challenge is a complete joke, especially if you have a whole lot of health, which I do, so I'm just gonna bum rush this thing. Just follow the path over onto the other side, and you're good to go. All of these challenges follow the same kind of format. You need to get from one end of the room to the other in order to hit the eyeball on the other side. Some of them, there is a clearer obstacle in your way in order to do that. Sometimes it's just a flat plane that you have to get across in a certain way. But I will mention that the game does take into consideration, wait, we have Roberta, who is a ranged character. Wouldn't she be able to just fire a shot onto that eyeball from a good distance away, at least halfway across the room in order to hit it? You're right. However, when it comes to the eyeballs in this particular case, the programming on it seems to be a lot more heavy when it comes to where your character needs to be in order to register a hit on that eyeball. Apparently, you need to actually be standing on the stairs leading up to that eyeball in order to hit it. You also notice that we're actually being able to get into these rooms really quickly. It's because they're just off the central room here. This entire area is fully loaded and realized. You just have to be able to see it from the right camera angles. So yes, you almost have to be point blank in order to hit these eyes, which is good because it makes it so that a lot of the challenges are completely trivial. Yeah, the rooms are just on the other side of the windows, way up there. Pretty nice. My super strong girl pushing all of these things. Now let's deal with the one that is a little bit of a major pain for me. I've played this game multiple times, and I still can't deal with the Earth challenge, which is a maze-like challenge where you have to push huge blocks in such a way that you're able to get through the next part of the maze in order to get to the other side of the room. It's a really short challenge if you know what you're doing. I just never remember how to, so that's why I've sped up the footage. The thing is that this area is rather linear in how you're able to get from one place to another. There are a couple different routes that you can make, but they're so, shall we say, inconsequential. Because once you push a certain block a certain way, you probably will get one of the glowing tiles opened, like so. And you can't touch on that. It means that you're not actually supposed to go that direction. The other problem is how you're able to push the blocks in a certain way. You need to have a lot of clearance in order to move a certain block a certain way, especially left and right. If it's touching even the corners, it really doesn't want you to move it. Which, I think if it actually allowed you to do it, the maze would be a lot easier, but at the same time a lot harder because you could get yourself stuck in a lot of cases. Biggest compliment I can give is that you certainly don't get stuck a whole lot. Except I got stuck in this 2x2 square of blocks way too much. But there we go. Now I'm over onto the left side and almost at the other side. I find the two ways to get around are either find the path that actually leads to the end, or you can do like a sick jump over the glowing tiles in order to reach the corner. One more dangerous than the other. But yes, super annoying. I still have not figured out an actual way of doing it, and I keep forgetting certain things about that maze. Pretty much just push the blocks in all 4 directions to see where it can go and test things out. Yeah, look at this sick water challenge. Lily pad jumping. Isn't it good? The main thing I could say that is a challenge is that you have the tiles around the other side. Because a lot of the times I jump, but I don't jump far enough, which results in me having to restart. We have one last one to do, the light challenge. The light challenge might be familiar to some of you. You like that part in some of the earlier Mega Man games where the platforms come and go procedurally? Because that's what happens with the light challenge. Yeah, they pretty much just went, hey, you know, I played Mega Man the other day, let's do that with the floor tiles. Yeah, it's pretty good. There's some dead ends, but very few, and you can get through it with very little issue. But hey, I like it better than Beaver Bother in the Park District. Here we go. All 6 done. No, there's no Nova and Supernova challenges. Only for the actual elements. And the door opens, and what do we find on the other side? Well, the dungeon actually isn't done yet. I did mention that we have to go pretty far down in order to find where Jordana is. This is kind of why I like having Roberta. Looks nice. Looking good, Roberta. It's all good. It's all good. There. Yeah, long elevator ride down to the next part of Hero's Rest, which is really easy to do. Honestly, super, super easy to do. There's literally no challenge at this point. This is our victory lap before the end of the game. Let's just take care of it. There is a giant elevator all the way down there. If you think about jumping down there, don't do it. It's a bad idea. You have to bring it up to you. And they did it in such a way that you actually have to go into 6 individual chambers, like this, navigate them, which takes a few seconds in order to hit a switch corresponding to the specific element in order to bring up a section of the elevator. I'm going to spare you the time in order to actually do this, which takes a few minutes. Because, again, you have to do this 6 times, 6 switches. Just gonna mention that, yeah, the nameless minions are also still around sometimes. I do kind of like the camera angle, especially when it comes to the abyss that we're just dealing with again. I don't know, maybe that says something about me, I'm not sure. Then we have to bring in that little hexagon in the middle. Before we do that, we're in the light section with all the light elemental minions. There is one treasure chest in order to get in Hero's Rest, and it is in this chamber, for some reason having a fire crystal on it. Okay. I think it would have been a light one being in the light chamber, but oh well. I can't have everything. But here's our last silver neg of the game. And the camera is just placed in such a way that we can't really see it floating up until the very end. Somehow keep getting turned around in these places, and I'm not sure why. But now we have our giant elevator that we can now go and step on and go down to where it was. There's no better way of resetting this elevator. At least we can move on this one. Make our head nice and perky. Deep within the recesses of the planet is the strongest sorceress known to history. At least it's surrounded by water, not by lava sometimes. We have one last small little challenge to do. Again with the elements. There's Jordana, but we need to be able to free her. We have buttons here that can't actually be pressed, but we do have the elements in order to deal with them. I'd be shocked if you actually came down to this section and did not have enough motes, because the game gives you the motes that you need based on the minions that you do fight. Nova motes don't count as well, so you do have to switch to the appropriate emote in order to activate the button. And be really close to it as well, so if you really wanted to use Tor, this would be the chance to do so, because you need to be close range with it. But I prefer to keep Roberta because every time you hit a button, minions do appear, and having Roberta just on point is helpful in order to make sure that you're not spending too much time in order to do this. Yeah, like there's a bubble mode if you need it. If you have absolutely no bubbles. I wonder if some tester actually got to this point and had no specific mode, and that's why they put it in. I'd be shocked. Wind. Got one last one to deal with. Yes. Curse you, wizards, curse you. There we go. And appropriately, I'm on fire, so getting out of fire mode is gonna do the trick. And so the final shrine is liberated. Let's get out of here. We also have to do the Gladiator and Rogue Legends too. We have a lot of stuff still to do in this game. Let's go.